So earlier this week, I got to play a new FPS game called The Finals, and I can confidently say that this game is absolutely absurd. It plays like nothing else that currently exists on the market at all. In fact, it's pulling inspiration from like 5 different kinds of games, so please bear with me here as I try to explain. First, it is a high time to kill shooter played in teams of 3. If you enjoyed how team fights in Apex play out, where it takes a bit of time to put down enemies and at most usually 2 or 3 shot them, with the combination of also being able to res your feeder teammates who do go down, the finals plays out very similarly, but with the addition of old school FPS weaponry. That has all the standard FPS weapons like assault rifles, snipers, shotguns, but it also adds stuff like swords, grenade launchers, RPGs, and even a one-shot backstab knife, which is just basically the spy from TF2. The Finals has so many options because it's a game that aims for extreme customization. Instead of going for the standard hero shooter model like every other FPS game, you instead build your character. You get to choose the weapon you want to use and all of your tactical skills before getting into the game at all. They then took this customization and went one step further and applied it to the maps. The Finals has full map destruction, straight out of old Battlefield games like Bad Company 2. You can go through walls, you can level entire buildings. If you can see it, you can basically break it, which is something that hasn't been done in a really, really long time. All of this is played on an extraction shooter style game mode called Cash Out. 4 teams duke it out, collect cash, and try to extract. The team with the most cash after 8 minutes wins. Put it all together, and you have this really incredibly unique FPS experience that doesn't really play like anything else that's currently out there, which is genuinely refreshing in the current FPS industry. Most games these days are just remixes or iterations of other games. Valorant is Riot's take on Counter-Strike. Overwatch is Blizzard's take on Team Fortress 2. Apex is Respawn's take on a battle royale. The list goes on. The Finals, on the other hand, is trying to make something truly new by combining so many different genres together. And it's cool, but also it has a lot of problems. It needs a ton of work, but the fundamental absurdity of what they're trying to pull off makes it really, really fun. And I had a lot of fun playing it, at least for now. We'll dive more into the flaws later, but first, let's dive into the fundamentals. Before even queuing up for a game, you're going to want to create a build. Your first choice is decide whether it's a light, medium, or heavy. You'll choose a spec, a weapon, and 3 utility skills. Each build type has its own unique pools of weapons and skills. For example, light's can have a sniper rifle and a grappling hook, and a medium can't, but instead a medium can have like a turret and put down some mines. There's a ton of choices to make, but generally speaking, lights are high on DPS and mobility, but they're squishy. Mediums are, well, they're just medium, but they have a lot of team utility. Heavies are tanky with a ton of explosive options for map destruction and big guns like LMGs. In this specific game, I'm playing a support build. I decided on full team utility with a medic heal gun to heal my teammates, a defibrillator to instantly res a teammate, a jump pad, and also a zip line. Yes, it is that stacked, and it is actually that absurd. Immediately after spawning into the game, you're going to notice some things. First, there are always 2 vaults and 2 cash outs, which spawn randomly around the map. Vaults are where the money's at. You have to capture it, which takes about 30 seconds, after which anyone in your team can pick it up and start bringing it to a cash out location to start the extraction. Here's the catch though. It's an actual object someone on your team has to hold, and because vaults are always marked, everyone else in the game knows exactly where you are and will try to gank you. If you successfully get a vault to a cash out, you now have the pleasure of defending it while it extracts for the next 2 minutes. This might sound like a long time, but the developers have done a good job with overall pacing. Respawns are long, 30 seconds long actually, and enemy players usually spawn far away. If you full wipe a team, you won't see them for at least a minute, meaning you don't have to fight chain respawning players who are running at you over and over. And also, games themselves aren't very long to begin with. A cash out extraction takes 2 minutes, games in total are only 8 minutes long. Cash outs can be stolen by going into a long animation, which is basically like a defuse from Valorant or Counter-Strike. Whoever controls the cash out at the end of the 2 minutes gets all the money. It is entirely possible to ninja steal a cash out in the last second and take the entire reward. The cash out itself is also a physical object. In my limited playtime, I've already seen a cash out get stolen when a team broke through a couple floors that it was sitting on, and then the cash out drops straight into their hands instead. Also, keep in mind that finishing a cash out is not the only source of cash. Kills give cash, and most importantly, full wiping a team causes them to lose a massive amount of money. It's possible for everyone to gang up on the leaders and try to wipe them in order to make a comeback. From a gameplay perspective, the most interesting part about Cash Out is the wide variety of playstyles it offers. Offensive setups that focus on map destruction can help you push enemy extractions easier, but can be vulnerable to teams looking to fight in the open off of the objective. Meanwhile, defensive turtle teams can be effective by simply delaying pushes for so long that the inevitable third or fourth party shows up, similar to how Caustic or Watson teams play in Apex Legends. And of course, highly mobile teams would ideally play map control to gank enemy teams on routes in between objectives. Chances are the best team comps will probably have a little bit of everything, but it's cool to see so many strengths and weaknesses play out in a single map type. And when you combine the game mode's natural variety of playstyles with the amount of builds available, combined with the map destruction from game to game, you end up in a lot of situations that are just plain unique. Every game is a little bit different than the last one, and I think this is really the main strength of the finals. You will always run into the most absurd situations over and over again that will simply never happen in any other FPS game on the market right now. However, these absurd situations have a cost, and that's the combat legibility of the game. Combat legibility is your ability to understand what the hell's going on at any given point. Unfortunately, when walls are being blown up everywhere and you're getting shot at by multiple teams and the floor above and below you can disappear in an instant, it becomes very easy to get completely lost and have no idea how you died or what's going on. Oh yeah, and don't forget there's no kill cam, so no way to actually see what happened. It gets worse because the game also has a ton of screen shake and visual clutter. Trust me, I play Overwatch all the time, and this game's visual clutter is bad. The build customization also hurts combat legibility. You never know what the enemy is capable of until they start using their abilities or you see them for the first time. When someone can have a build that runs around invisible with a sword and someone else can be a dude with a grappling hook and a sniper rifle, it just gets hard to predict the situation you're about to walk into. Speaking about that customization, balance is about to be an absolute nightmare in this game. Games like Apex or Valorant have guardrails in place, right? At least everybody there uses the same guns. Doesn't matter how bad it gets, at least I could still shoot you. I think this game will have bigger problems because it's more similar to Overwatch. There's simply so many possible playstyles, many of which are not rooted in traditional FPS mechanics, that the smallest tweak can accidentally open up a completely degenerate team comp that basically ruins the game. It's entirely possible this team eventually has a meta where you just say, run a heavy with the shield and 2 medium healers with the grenade launchers who just pocket the tank, or a meta with triple invis sniper rifle loadouts. There's just so many possibilities to balance around, and it's not like teams are restricted or locked in any way. You can run 2 mediums, 3 heavies, 3 light, any combo you want, you can run it, and the developers need to balance around all of them. It's got to be so difficult for them. The fundamentals of the finals are also not great. Movement and gunplay are both acceptable, but they're not very good. Movement has high acceleration and often feels like you're in mud. The grappling hook, for example, just falls completely flat in comparison to Apex's Pathfinder. Overwatch and Apex in particular are extremely tight on their controls. The finals is not quite there yet. As for weapons, it's fantastic that the game has a lot of options, but so far many of them feel shallow. The grenade launcher and RPG felt like noob tubes. You just sort of point at them and click, and they just do a ton of damage. And it's even worse than Overwatch's Junkrat, because at least Overwatch's Junkrat has to attempt to aim at you or has the ability to hit directs. The full auto grenade launcher for the heavy, for example, you can start directing people straight in the face and they don't even blow up. It's specifically designed to be a only spam weapon, which is also a little bit interesting, but it also makes it very brain dead. Other weapons, like say your normal rifles and stuff, had no noticeable recoil patterns or anything to learn. Just try and track the enemy through the million particle effects and hope for the best. The visual feedback and feel of the guns simply doesn't feel clean to me. It's just okay. Of course, also need to say that it is just a beta, and I do expect to see some improvements here in the long run. As an example, referring to the grapple, the developers already said they're aiming to improve the air control for the grappling hook in their game, so that way people can make more plays with it, which is awesome. Regardless, when a game has this many flaws, I would usually write it off and assume the worst, probably because I'm a cynical boomer. But the finals is such a unique take on an FPS that even though the fundamentals are scuffed, I had so much fun in this playtest. I genuinely have no idea how this game is going to be received by the masses, though. It is entirely possible that the issues surrounding combat legibility alienate a casual audience. Maybe your average gamer walks in, doesn't understand what's happening, and just uninstalls. And maybe it's possible that degen meta team comps will drive away the hardcore player base as well. Alternatively, maybe the developer's good sense of time to kill and combat pacing keeps people around and people learn to appreciate the experience with the full map destruction that you just can't get anywhere else. Either way, I find it so refreshing to have a developer truly trying to innovate in the FPS space, and I'm going to be playing the crap out of this game. If you're interested in some of my gameplay highlights from the playtest, at least one will probably be uploaded to my second YouTube channel, B_Siegel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.